Hello, everybody. This is John Blank. This is Monday, February the 10th, 2025. And today we will embark on a journey into the utility sector at Zacks, and I will give you my top ideas entering 2025. Okay, so as usual, I keep these consistent so you can understand my process over time by reviewing other PowerPoint decks, which you can get from us, and other YouTube videos that use them. So, part one, we will go through the top stocks by market capitalization and utilities. Part two, we will go through the top stocks by the maximum number of covering analysts. Another good way to pick a stock is always to buy one the institutions are following. That is largely correlated to the number of analysts that follow that stock. The third one is the Zacks Rank element that is critical. The largest 1 month percentage change in the current fiscal year one annual earnings estimates. Annual earning estimates that change over the last 30 days will drive the short-term Zacks rank. So this is how I've been doing these things, and this will deliver new ideas, new stock picking ideas for you in the utility sector entering 2025. Again, this is my views. I do have a PhD from MIT in economics, and they are not necessarily the views of Zacks Investment Research. Okay, so the two utility groups here today. Utility group 53, which is electric power. Utility group 54 in our system, which is gas distribution. So electric power is up at the top, and then we've got our gas distributors down here. And the same is going to be true here. We'll get our electric power, gas distributors, and electric power and gas distributors. So again, I put the red lines to remind you to look to the bottom of these tables for how we're ranking these things. So within each industry, we're going through market cap. So NextEra Energy, ticker NEE, is the biggest utility electric power company in our system, followed by Southern Company and Iberdrola SA. If it's SAAD, that's a foreign company. So again, National Grid is in the UK, Iberdrola is in Spain, Duke, of course, is a US company. American Power, Electric Power is a US company. Exelon, of course, is in Illinois. It's smaller at 41 billion market cap versus NextEra Energy, ticker NEE. So down here is the gas distributors. There's Sempra, Atmos, Hong Kong, and China Gas. That'll be a foreign company. Centrica ADRs, that is also a China company. And down here, further on is Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, which is actually up in Canada, but it has a lot of Brazilian assets. So keep in mind, what I like to do is give you a set of stocks, large stocks, major stocks, to get your understanding of what industries and sectors we're interested in each of these discussions. So over here, we've got the 1 month percentage change in annual estimates. This is entirely different ranking. This is the ones with the larger movements versus the smaller ones. But this gives you an idea. If Centrica, for example, is here and here, it's worth thinking more about. Vistra is over here. You're going to hear this one in Texas. This is the AI energy utility play that has been given a lot of run up in the momentum traders. We will discuss it. And yes, it does have a 1 month percentage change in Zacks Rank, which means there is some earnings growth going on for Vistra down there in Texas. Over here is a number of catalysts versus the market cap. I like to compare this one to this one. For example, Duke gets a much higher bid here, even though it's a little bit smaller over here. And of course, NextEra Energy does not even appear over here, while it does appear over there. So again, this is just a really nice way to break down how we can organize our thinking about what is a critical stock in a given industry or sector. As you can see, it can really vary quite dramatically. Okay, so what are the latest trends and developments in electric power? These are coming from Reuters, Business Insider, and the Wall Street Journal. And we've organized them in a circular pattern for you. So one of the things is going on is the integration of artificial intelligence. This is really a big factor in the electric power business of 2025. It's enhancing the grid management, it's optimizing energy distribution, and it's improving customer service, obviously, help decks you can call it, and the AI-driven now customer service. Expansion of renewable energy. Wind and solar continue to grow as important to this business. Decarbonization goals. Yes, people, even in the Trump era, decarbonization goals will matter. For these private companies, they will exist beyond the Trump era, and they existed before it. Expected to invest more in sustainable energy infrastructure. Again, that is another factor that has gone on for a long time and will continue. Rising electricity demand, 2% increase in electric consumption over the past year. That's with, GDP growth. That's basically consistent. Electricity demand does allow one to understand aggregate demand because everybody uses it so dramatically widely across the U.S. economy. And grid reliability and capacity to accommodate that rising demand is always going to be an issue for this business. Virtual power plants. This is fascinating. VPPs, virtual power plants, offer flexibility and resilience, and they aid in grid stability and facilitate the integration of renewables. Aggregated distributed energy resources to function as a single power plant. So you take all your power plants and put them somewhere in a virtual power plant that then distributes the energy, basically. So this is really interesting. VPP. Try to understand some language here. You may not have heard before. Now you've got it. Policy and regulatory changes enhance the transmission planning and cost allocation, and aiming to modernize the grid and support the integration of renewable energy. Keep in mind a lot of these regulatory groups are not at the federal level, they're at the state and local level. Aging infrastructure, upgrading transmission lines, implementing smart grid technologies, enhancing cybersecurity. Big issues here, right? They have aging infrastructure, and we're talking about those giant lines you see all over the place, bringing electric power around the grid. Energy storage, of course, if those of you who follow Tesla, their energy storage business is actually the one that's expanding most dramatically for them, not their electric vehicles anymore. That's better management of intermittent renewable energy and storing excess energy generated during peak production. Energy storage. So just keep in mind, this is actually critical to the Vistra story. Electric power utilities are really in the driver's seat. They're no longer thought of as just a defensive area because of their needs of the AI businesses for this energy. Now, obviously, we know about the DeepSeek story in China and now with Alibaba, whether there's going to be a lot lower power use in AI than people think. That still doesn't mean data centers are going to use power. And new chips are going to try to, lower the power use, but obviously, the more data we got out there, the more data centers have to be built and the more power gets used. So the bet's still on that this is going to continue to be more growth than people think. All right, now let's get into gas distribution trends and developments. Again, this is from the New York Post, the Financial Times, and Reuters. So number one, here's our industry. Utility gas distribution. Here is our big trends and developments. There's 6 of them, and here's the stories that are involved. So, increased natural gas consumption. It's a record high 89.4 billion feet per day. 89.4 billion cubic feet per day. That's obviously a lot of it's pipelines, and pipelines have been very important of late. And of course, you've got to remind yourself this is going to pipelines to natural gas liquids shipped to Asia as well as to Europe. That is a 6.7% annual increase, so much higher than the 2% growth rate of electricity, which is U.S. domestic. 40% of natural gas consumed is right here, right? So it's still a very important part of the energy story. Infrastructure and advancement investment, and heavy infrastructure, 12 natural gas projects that we could identify, and they support growing needs across residential, commercial, industrial, and power generation sectors. So all kinds of parts of the economy are all using natural gas distribution, not just residential. Financial implication for consumers, state climate leadership. Remember, again, State climate leadership, not federal all the time. It will continue. Community Protection Act at 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Still playing out, people. We've heard this from ExxonMobil CEO. They'll be long-term players. None of this stuff is going to go away on one administration or another, frankly. Regulatory scrutiny and safety concerns. Southwest Gas serves over 2 million customers, and it underscores the importance of maintaining and upgrading infrastructure. So just imagine how much upgrading has to go just to this one business, Southwest Gas, with over 2 million customers. Renewable energy, again, integrating with renewable energy is the issue. So balancing renewables, reliable across sources of energy, and surge in natural gas power plant construction, because it is, lending itself immediately to the increase in supply, unlike other parts of the energy system. Of course, like I said, you got to integrate it. Technology advancements continue. Maintenance routines are getting enhanced. They're optimizing infrastructure performance, and they're improving safety. So again, just to start off with, we always like to just get our minds around what we might have thought is a very dull subject, electric power, gas distribution, and it really is not a dull subject in the current moment we live in, 2025. That gets us to the top stocks by market capitalization. And here we go. I've got return on equity for the top 15 stocks in this business. Two of them I pulled up already. Number two ranked buy here, San Francisco, California-based PG&E, ticker PCG, is at the top of the return on equity of 12.5%. That's really, really important. Again, San Francisco-based. Why? Of course, the AI businesses. And it was incorporated in 1905, but now it has changed. It has hydro, nuclear, and fossil fuel, natural gas, electricity, generation, transmission, procurement. You can read all that yourself. My point here is, look at this ROE spike during the COVID period, and now they're recovering and rising. This is entirely consistent with a pattern of more profitability and use for this company, and obviously this is tied to the AI story. Down here, Zacks number two ranked by New Jersey Resources Corporation, ticker NJR, with a 16% ROE. Again, very spiky. Obviously, they make money at peak performances, but they also have clean energy ventures and other things that they're integrating. We talked about this, along with transmission, transportation, and distribution. So again, these are complex businesses. And again, I got a Zacks number two buy out of ticker NJR, which you may not have known. Of course, lots of stories here. I just picked out two for you, one from electric power and one from natural gas distribution to discuss. Come back through here, go ahead and look at for top return on equity performances. That's going to be a top stock. Forward price earnings ratios that are rising. So, of course, we've got to talk about ticker VST, ticker Vistra. That's at a forward PE of 26.5. They're down in Dallas, folks, and they offer electricity and power generation, distribution, and transmission. So this stock is total AI driven. You can see there actually was a spike during the COVID period, and now they're back up again. So this is the story that started the COVID period and ended here. Now, another one to talk about is NextEra Energy. We know this is the largest by market cap because it partly is its 18.7% PE ratio, very high PE ratio. NextEra Energy did spike up during COVID, and it's now following Vistra back up again. What is it about? Let's talk about it. NextEra Energy is down in Florida, and it used to be known as Florida Power and Light. So they changed the name of Florida Power and Light to NextEra Energy. But it has operations now in 40 states in the U.S. and 4 provinces in Canada, even though it was founded a long time ago. So Florida Power and Light's in there, Gulf Power and Light's in there, NextEra Energy Capital is in there, and a lot of other stuff, as well as solar and wind and other elements within their business. So here's another story that you may have need to update yourself on. Ticker NEE, it is a number two buy, as well as Vistra. I pulled these two out. Obviously, there's many, many others that we can talk about here, that if you're seeing some upward side to the valuation, you have to imagine people looking for more growth in the future out of these stocks. All right, total debt. I just want to pull up Sempra, ticker SRE, obviously just building the debt, which means they're building the company. We only have a number 3 hold on it, but it is Southern California based. It's my energy company here, and it's Southern California Gas and San Diego Gas. So SoCal Gas is my company here in Santa Barbara. Um, and they've been building and incurring debt to do it for some time now. And there is, by the way, some Sempra Texas and Sempra Infrastructure. So again, you just want to look at a story that's demonstrably different than other things. You found Sempra Energy, and it's probably worth looking at further. Ticker SRE. Reinvestment rates. I just want to point out here, we've got Dominion Energy, ticker D, which is in Virginia. And again, you can read through Dominion Energy of Virginia in North Carolina and South Carolina. So this is, again, a stock that has a bigger story gathering more steam across the East Coast, particularly the southern states that are beneath Virginia. Again, I just pulled it up because you get a low reinvestment rate. That means they might be doing something a little different, and that's worth talking about. So I pulled it up. All right. Depreciation and amortization. I found one stock here that I wanted to talk about, Brookfield Infrastructure Corporation, ticker BIPC. Go ahead and read this later on, but it's important to understand that it's got a lot of transmission of natural gas in Brazil and the UK, and it says a global fleet of intermodal containers. So this is really a different business than just a standard business. We put it down here, natural gas distribution, because of these stories of pipelines in Brazil. So ticker BIPC, if you're looking for a Brazilian natural gas distribution play, again, in an area of tariffing, this may be a much bigger, stronger play. And look what's happened. It started to come up in depreciation amortization. Something's going on there. And we know partly part of the story is there may be a play there. So keep in mind that you can go ahead and look at ticker BIPC for further ideas. All right, now we'll get to the maximum number of analysts. Let's look through this one. Number 3 rank, Eversource, ticker HOLD. So where do I see this one? It is a hold, I'm sorry, it's ticker ES, and I have it right here. Eversource Energy used to be known as Northeast Utilities, another one of these names that got changed, again, because of the transition. I mean, look at the earnings estimates are going up, up, up. Stock is not taking off. I don't really know the answer to this, but again, from a value perspective, is it worth looking at Eversource under ticker ES versus these other stocks, which is, for actually, this is Duke Energy. Here's DTE, and here's PEG. They're all in the utility electric power space, fully priced, and Eversource Energy is not. Worth looking into. I'm not saying I'm put a buy on this one, but it's certainly a story of a nice position versus its earnings estimates. Down here, I've got ticker SR, which is Spire Incorporation. Where is that? I've got it here. And again, we've got lots of motion up in these other names, SRE and ATO, Atmos Energy. And then suddenly Spire jumps out as an undervalued name. Ticker SR. Lots of things to look into. It's headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri. It's only 25 years old and was founded down there in St. Louis. So take a look at ticker SR if you're looking for a gas distributor that's probably not known as well as Atmos, which is fully priced, SRE, which is fully priced, and OGS, which might be the other one to look into. Here I like this one as for in terms of further research, and here I like this one, Eversource Energy, for further research. All right, earnings per share forward 12-month. Who jumps out? California-based Edison International, ticker EIX. Certainly building earnings, folks. Of course, we know the tech story, and now suddenly out comes EIX. There's plenty of other stories down here, CPC, ATO. We've talked about prior slide. And see these these are obviously strong names. But you'd like to see your earnings building and strong performance and movement upwards. And of course, there it is, ticker EIX. All right, net margin. Again, I just poked up the highest one, Public Service Energized Group, PEG, and it's located in the Northeast, and it's part of PSENG. So there's, again, you're going to have to read all of this. But I just pointed out really quickly that it has the highest profit margin in its group. So it's worth looking into from that perspective. Same can be done down here with these other areas of industry in natural gas. Total debt to capital is really low. This one jumped out at me. Clean energy fuels, CLNE, down here, low total debt to capital. And they're the leading provider of natural gas and liquid nitrogen transportation in North America. Probably don't know this one. You need to. Ticker CLNE. Seal Beast, California, that is Los Angeles area, down by Long Beach. And you need to look into the stock at ticker CLNE. CapEx and depreciation, I will skip, but go ahead and look at that at some time later in your leisure if you get a hold of these charts. Okay, now we're into the Zacks Rank, and the first one out will be Centrica, right here. Revenue forward 12-month. CPYYY is a top 30 FTSE company, FTSE 100. They supply gas and electricity for millions of homes. So this one is UK, North America, and Europe. Probably don't know this name. That's why the tickers get 5, not 3. It's a foreign ticker. Other one that jumped out of Northwest Natural Gas Holding Company, ticker NWN, up in Portland. It has also been rising in the post-COVID environment. Again, I like to see current moves up. And of course, what's going on here is this somewhat probably getting a bid in Europe from the Russian story. And this one's probably getting a bid on the AI story up in the Northwest of the United States. Cash flow yield. I took a look at this company here, and it is XNGSY. It's a clean energy distributor in Hong Kong. Shirazmian just got back from Hong Kong, and he says the Chinese are really building Hong Kong. And this is an example of a name you probably don't know, but you can see cash flow is growing up for XNGSY. It jumped out at me as the name to look into further. And of course, it's got lots of stories there for you to look at your leisure. But basically, we know from a cash flow yield perspective that's rising. It's worth looking into. Price to free cash flow. I looked into this one, ticker Enel Chile, ENIC. Down in Santiago, there's the big electric power group. Price to free cash flow is getting a bit of a bid down there. You might want to look into what's going on with them. I expect it's mining related. Enterprise value to sales, I've got ticker ATO here. Number 2 ranked buy. You can see this has taken off in the last few years. So you need to understand what this company is about. It's in the natural gas distribution and storage, and it is all over the place. Blue Ridge Mountains in the east and the Rocky Mountains in the west. 3.3 million customers, 8 states. Atmos Energy, ticker ATO. All right, price to sales and the industry groups. This is comparing electric power, which is in the blue, with gas distribution, which is in the green. And you can see, in general, they're going up, for example, here together, but sometimes they're not. And that gets to be relevant here. Over here is an example. We're seeing a very different play for this area than it is over here with price to sale forward 12 months moving together. All right, so you can look also into this one, across the 2 industry groups. Again, this one and this one are just industry group related, not sector related. You're just kind of comparing and understanding the different industries themselves. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sure you're surprised that utilities were far more interesting than you expected them to be, and that was the point of talking about them. So go ahead and give me a call, or give Zacks Advisor Tools a call at 866-794-6065, or find us on the web at www.zackspro.com, or give us an email. Obviously, that's really straightforward. Strategy call at zackspro.com. We have a LinkedIn page, it's Twitter. But this is the real information I want to provide to you. Our phone number, our email address, and our place on the web. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this. Please get a hold of these slides and look through these tickers. This is the top picks and utilities for 2025, and I'm sure you've got surprisingly more interest in this than you had when you started this discussion. Thank you again.